You said you have a stable relationship. Does this mean that you are going to get married? When we have time, we will do it. But we would like to do it when we don't have to go to work right after. However, she didn't know that it wasn't meant to be. You may be surprised, but the Ryder and Depp romance, known as one of the brightest Hollywood love stories of the 90s, is more than just a nostalgic memory of bygone days. Depp and Ryder seemed like the perfect couple. Then why did they break up? Who was against their marriage? Is it true that Winona has never been able to forget Johnny, who was her first love? Stay tuned to find out the answers to these questions, and subscribe to Johnny Depp's Files to learn about other exciting love stories of the legendary actor. Winona and Johnny first met in 1989 at the premiere of the movie Big Fireballs. They only caught a glimpse of each other that day, but apparently that was enough for feelings to begin to blossom. From a book by Nigel Goodall, he realized that this was the girl of his dreams. Winona's striking beauty sank into his heart. She was drinking Coca-Cola in the lobby of the Ziegfeld Theater in New York, and he didn't want anyone to notice his gaze. But he just couldn't help himself. Then she arrived at the premiere of her film Big Fireballs, in which she played the bride of Jerry Lee Lewis. In a tight white mini dress by Giorgio de Sant'Angelo. She was extraordinarily good. Winona about the first meeting with Johnny. It wasn't for long, but time seemed to have stopped. At that time, Winona was already a star teenager, and Johnny was a rising TV idol. They both thought it was love at first sight. Johnny even called it a classic look, and everything else is shrouded in fog. In other words, the 26-year-old actor was smitten by a 17-year-old girl, but they met only a couple of months later, thanks to a mutual friend. At that time, Johnny threw a party in his room at the Chateau Mormon, and Josh Richman introduced them, who played with Ryder in Deadly Attraction, and with Depp in Jam Street 21. At first I thought he was a typical nerd. He was incredibly stunningly shy, told about his impression of Johnny Winona. Before Johnny, the only person Ryder dated was Christian Slater. In fact, they had only been dating for a few months before Depp. She had never had a serious relationship. Winona introduced Johnny to Tim Burton, later the main director of Depp's life and his great friend. When I met Johnny, I was a wholly innocent. He changed that. He was my first in everything. My first real kiss, my first real boyfriend, my first fiancé, the first guy I had sex with. However, this was not the first time for Johnny. By that time, he had already been married once, and engaged twice. Winona didn't care, because, according to her, they had a connection on a higher level. We have the same coloring, although we have a very different background, so we were interested in each other all the time. But they literally have the same color, dark hair, pale skin, and a thoughtful, beautiful appearance. They were perfect for each other. But Winona was obviously referring to the fact that they had a lot in common. And what did Johnny think when his relationship with Winona had just begun? When I met Winona, and we fell in love, it was absolutely unlike anything before. We spent all our days and nights together, and have been together ever since. I love her more than anything in the world. John Waters called Depp a homeless movie star. For a year and a half of acquaintance, a whole page of Johnny's addresses was written in his notebook. To find him, you had to write like this to Johnny Depp, Bench, Vancouver, British Columbia. To which Johnny replied, I have beds, tables, chairs and a TV, and they are mine. And I have Winona. That's all I need. Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder were inseparable. The actors starred together in the film Edward Scissorhands. They continued to listen to their favorite songs together and read beatnik poems to each other. They were crazy about the soundtrack to the movie Mission, loved to read Kerouac and The Catcher in the Rye. Johnny made a tattoo of the warrior forever on his arm, which greatly impressed the strict parents of the actress. They loved Johnny and approved of their daughter's choice. They brought wartime and Johnny breakfast in bed whenever the lovebirds stayed at their house. Depp and Ryder were the most talked about couple in Hollywood in the early 90s, and for good reason. One evening, he sent the war not 200 balloons filled with helium. She couldn't even come to the phone to say thank you, the balloons just filled the whole room. By the way, Winona also did not remain in debt. In particular, she gave Johnny a star, gave old castles. He was fond of Houdini, the first edition of books by favorite authors Beatles for Johnny's collection. I felt pretty stable and protected. Do you think it's important to have a stable relationship when you're 19? It's definitely useful in this business to have some stability, because in this business, everything seems to be constantly suspended in the air. Therefore, having a good family life, a good relationship with someone is very important for me. However, few people knew that the couple faced some difficulties that proved insurmountable for their love. Events were moving so fast, maybe even too fast. After only 5 months of relationship, the couple got engaged and began to live together. Winona and Johnny made a brilliant appearance at a big reception in Las Vegas, where the National Association of Cinema Owners named them the Young Stars of Tomorrow. It was here that they showed off their rings and announced their engagement. People magazine called them the King and Queen of Youth Hollywood. Everything was going to the wedding. Winona and Johnny tried to persuade their friend, Hairspray director John Waters, he had the priesthood, to marry them at a ceremony. In 2019, John Waters told in his new memoirs that he refused to marry 28-year-old Johnny and 19-year-old War because he considered her too young. Waters talked them out of it after Depp's lawyers prepared the documents. According to Waters, Winona's parents were grateful to him for being able to dissuade the couple from getting married. And the marriage, postponed indefinitely, was just one of the obstacles the couple had to face. We have to remember that they were both rising stars at that time, and therefore both were very busy with their work. Johnny spent days and nights on the set, which gnaws at Gilbert Grape. It was during the filming of this project that he began to have problems with alcohol and drugs. Those were pretty dark times for me. I do not know what exactly was going on. I poisoned myself incredibly. In fact, I have never seen Gilbert Grape. I can't watch him. And what he wasn't going through, it could well have affected his relationship with Winona. Not for the better, of course. The actress was also busy at that time. She played, I quote, a young bride with a lack of personal opinion and self-esteem. In the era of Martin Scorsese's Innocence. About the media attention, Winona said, "We are completely different. It is unpleasant for us to be constantly in front of our eyes. We don't like the fact that people listen to our conversations in restaurants, and sometimes something worse happens." During this period, Johnny literally hated journalists, and Winona gradually began to reduce her communication with the press. The love-hate relationship between stars and journalists was one of those aspects of star life that annoyed Johnny. As an example, he cited cases when the journalist buffoon bothered him with questions right in the toilet of the bar. The authors of GQ magazine believed that perhaps Johnny and Winona were too young and beautiful to be left alone. They were constantly doing incredibly romantic things. She bought him a star, he got a tattoo with her name on his body. It wasn't just romantic, it was frivolous. In 1993, after 4 years of living together, the Depp Ryders decided to part ways. Winona's representative at the time blamed the separation on the carelessness of young love and stardom. Depp, for his part, explained it in an interview with the Los Angeles Times as follows. "It is very difficult to have a personal life in this city. My relationship with Winona. It was my mistake to be so open, but I thought if we were honest, it would destroy this monster of curiosity. Instead, it was fueled, gave people the right to feel part of it." You have written War Forever. I guess it's not about the war, Ryder. Oh, how did you guess? Is that still the case? No, we're separated. Did you get a tattoo? No, of course not. Winona only mentioned that Johnny will always remain a dear person to her. He will always be in my heart. Forever. Quite a funny word. Apparently, she really meant it, but the breakup turned out to be very traumatic for both of them. Winona returned Johnny's engagement ring more than once, but then received it back. Ryder found herself spiraling out of control immediately. 10 years later, she confirmed that it was the darkest time of her life. I was embarrassingly dramatic at the time, but you have to remember that I was only 19 years old. The broken engagement forced the young girl to go through the throes of depression. The doctor gave the actress sleeping pills, and sometimes she took too much of it. One day Winona fell asleep with a lit cigarette and woke up from the flames. She also experimented with alcohol and drugs. She didn't really care about her career and public image. And then I saw myself on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and there was written something in the style of Winona Ryder, the luckiest girl in the world. And it broke my heart, because then I was in incredible pain. In the 2001 year, there were reports that Winona was addicted to painkillers and antidepressants. Soon after, she was admitted to a psychiatric clinic. There were many rumors that constant infidelities, Winona's affairs with new filming partners, and Johnny's allegedly numerous adventures after the engagement led to their breakup. However, the couple's friends deny these guesses. John Waters. Johnny is a serial family man by nature. At the beginning of our acquaintance, he had very few women, and with each there were long-term relationships. He is always faithful to his women, he cannot be called a Don Juan. Meanwhile, Johnny was going through his own personal hell. He started working on Ed Wood with Tim Burton, and, according to Burton, the actor was pretty broken because of Winona. There were days when he came in tears. I asked him why it happened, but all he said was it wasn't her fault, it was mine. It was strange for me to be around him because he wasn't acting like Johnny anymore. And it seemed as if Winona had taken Johnny's soul, Johnny's love. Burton also mentioned that the actor has never been the same before, even in his subsequent romance with Kate Moss. Despite the fact that we are no longer together, this does not negate the sincerity of the moment when I got a tattoo. She, Moss, expected Johnny to get rid of the Winona tattoo forever, but instead Johnny changed it to Wine Forever. Johnny became involved in numerous love stories. Some were kind of happy, others were dramatically confused. After a 4-year relationship with Kate Moss, he ended a 14-year relationship with Vanessa Paradis. Depp allegedly started dating Amber Heard when he was still with Vanessa. According to an anonymous source, this theory upset Ryder, whose long-standing respectful relationship with Johnny changed after she found out about his affair with Amber. It is believed that Winona did not appreciate his decision to leave the mother of his children after many years, for the sake of a woman in her 20s. Although, according to Johnny Depp's own testimony, he got carried away with Heard on the set of The Chrome Diary, and it did not immediately develop into a secret romance. Children. Your children. My children are everything. What do you mean? That's it. They definitely made me grow up, that's for sure. Really? Oh yes, they did. You mean responsibility or... However, a couple of years later, she lashed out to defend her ex when Heard accused the actor of domestic violence. I was completely shocked, confused and upset when I heard the accusation against him. The idea that he is an incredibly cruel person is the furthest thing from the Johnny I knew and loved. And these accusations simply do not fit in my head. At the time, Ryder claimed she was ready to be called as Depp's witness. In an official statement, she mentioned that she considers him her best friend and someone so close, like a family member. You don't stop loving people just because they hurt you. Johnny Depp's romantic family life was quite intense, but what about other Ryder novels? After her relationship with Depp, she dated soul singer Sile Davy Perner for 3 years and dated Matt Damon for 2 years. About the subsequent affair with Pernell, who broke off an 11-year relationship for the sake of the actress, Winona said, "Our relationship is different from those that were in my life before. They are more natural, more like friendship. I want to say that there is no drama in them." Unlike Johnny, she has never been married. Winona is not a fan of casual dating, and she once called herself a serial monogamist. Marriage? I don't know. I would rather never be married than be divorced several times. Another reason Winona never got married is rooted in her family. The fact is that her parents were madly in love with each other for 5 decades. By their example, they seem to have set high standards for their daughter, who wouldn't settle for anything less in her adult life. Although at the present time, Winona keeps her personal life sealed. The 48-year-old actress is reportedly in a relationship with fashion designer Scott McKean-Lehane since 2011 year. However, it is rumored that in the 2019 year, Johnny and Winona began to communicate again. Various sources have suggested that the actor tried to contact Winona through their mutual friends. Winona's friends urged her to avoid her past love because such a fragile soul as she does not need a rebel like Johnny. Maybe they weren't the perfect couple after all. With or without someone interfering in their relationship, Winona and Johnny obviously knew what was best for them. In addition, do not underestimate the recklessness of young love and stardom, the only, so to speak, officially announced reason for their separation. They had to face a whirlwind of emotions and feelings, newfound fame, lack of experience, unwanted public attention. And, apparently, they could not overcome all these obstacles at once. Who knows, maybe the two young souls couldn't handle it. Winona blamed the press for their separation. I remember how we hated the journalists who literally hunted us. It was terrible. Because of this, our relationship has cracked. Every day we heard that we cheated on each other or broke up altogether, although there was nothing like that. Journalists swarmed around us like pesky mosquitoes. Johnny also believed that the relationship with Winona faded due to hard work and constant harassment of journalists. In June 1993, he said, "We broke up a month ago." When you break up with a loved one, it is very difficult to cut the last thread connecting you, but it happened naturally with us. This was the development of our relations. So it happened. I would not say that the parting was extremely difficult for both of us. We remained friends, we still communicate. But in a friendly way. After the breakup, John did not tell. This is one of the mysteries of every person's life. It doesn't happen that a person wakes up, says, "You know what, I don't love you anymore. She's a wonderful girl, and it was great with her. We were good together, we had fun and rested, we were not indifferent to each other." I was very lucky that I had similar feelings in my life. Although in another interview he said that he didn't love Winona enough, and it turned out to be more love than true love, go know what's true here. But on our channel, if you click subscribe with a bell, you can always be the first to watch cool videos about your favorite Johnny Depp. And be aware of the news about the Hollywood legend. Don't skimp on likes and comments under this video, and don't forget to watch other videos on the channel. Vladimir and Johnny Depp's files were with you as always. See you soon. Bye bye.